Home projects are always a work in progress. We make mistakes, we revisit things when things aren't quite right. So today I'll be going over some common decor mistakes while fixing those same mistakes in my own home. Having art in your home can help evoke certain emotions, add personality and color to a space, and can just fill a blank wall. But a common mistake people make when hanging their art is not hanging it in the right position, whether it's too high or just not quite right. My mistake with this is in our living room. So we have this beautiful scroll. I love how the scroll adds height and adds personality and color to the space. I'm gonna move the scroll over to the left about an inch or so. I know that seems super nitpicky, but you also just have to rely on your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. And every detail of your home should feel right to you. I already mentioned some impacts of having art displayed in your home. So my next mistake is having too many blank frames. And a home without art feels cold, uninviting, and depersonalized. I do have a lot of prints from the Stack House that aren't in frames yet. So I have empty frames and frameless photos. We gotta fix this mistake. Incorporating texture and layers in your home decor adds depth, visual interest, and warmth to your space. So when you don't have enough texture or layers in your design, it can sometimes feel flat or boring. I like to add texture and layers through window treatments, blankets and throws, and other decor pieces like plants, glass, candles, books, etc. My mistake with this is in our bedroom. This is what our bed looks like without any added dimension or extra texture. When you add more dimension and texture to your bed, it makes it feel so much cozier. This is normally what our bed looks like, and this is where we're starting with our mistakes. This isn't quite enough. Adding a variety of pillows that physically feel different and visually appear different makes our bed look more visually interesting and feel cozier. Oh, Legend's so sleepy here. Paint is one of the easiest and budget-friendly ways to change up the design of your room. The paint colors we choose in our house impact our mood and the overall feel of our home. I've realized, like, after sitting with some of these areas for a while, there's some spots I want to change. In the living room, this trim needs to be painted the same color as the walls. We painted this door in the trim, but I left all the French doors, window trim, and the baseboards in white. And I'm really happy that I did that because I feel like it does break up the green. If everything was green, it would just be a little too much. But just like the front door, I want this trim to disappear. This wall is already quite busy with the gallery wall, and I don't want to take away from that by drawing attention to the trim. My second paint mistake is actually on the other side of this trim. So I painted the trim in the kitchen to match our cabinets, but with this one, I was a little unsure of where to cut off that color. Now I've decided that I'm gonna paint the inside of the casing canvas tan. It makes more sense to keep the color that is seen from both rooms, the more neutral color. Then there's a natural stopping point where the living room trim starts. That's where we transition the color to dry time. This final paint mistake around the house I've been sitting with since I made over the kitchen, and that is the window trim. Right when I painted it, I just felt like it wasn't quite right, but I was like trying to convince myself that I liked it. It looks good with the countertops, it looks good with the cabinet color, looks good with the brass, but I just feel like it clashes with the stainless steel. I'm gonna try a different color here. I'm gonna be using a color that I already have that we used in our powder room, and that was the color Dutch Tile Blue, so I don't even have to buy any new paint. I really think that the cool tone of the blue is gonna look a lot better with the stainless steel appliances. The color is gonna look great with the cabinets, with the brass, and I really think it's gonna look really cool with the countertops too, and kind of tone down some of the gray that we have in here. And I hope when I'm done painting this trim that it's gonna give me that finishing touch that I was waiting for when we were making over the kitchen. It looks good with all the elements in here. And my favorite part is how it looks with the countertops. There's more balance between the cool and warm tones now. The blue helps balance out the gray in the stainless steel and the counters. This has sparked new inspiration for what else I can do in this space, so stay tuned for part 2 of the kitchen makeover. The devil is in the details. Or so they say. But seriously, the finishing touches do make a bigger impact on the overall design of a space than you probably even think. Especially when you're DIYing a room, you kind of get to this final stage where you have to do the paint touch-ups, all the little last remaining sanding bits, and you're probably a little bit over the project at this point. All the big changes have been made, and you're a little burnt out, and so these small details can sometimes slip through the cracks. The kitchen, I specifically have several areas where these finishing touches were ignored. And this was a really big project. Doing this kitchen was a lot of painting. So naturally I was completely over painting and patching and sanding. I filled these holes when I made the mistake and hung the shelf wrong, but I did not do anything since then. So I'm gonna erase all the marks that I made with a pencil while it was hanging the shelf. I have to sand down the spackle, make it nice and smooth, and then finally go in with the final touch-up of the wall color, and then this area will be pretty much done. There are some more touch-ups on this wall though. After I painted this window trim, I definitely got some blue paint on the walls, but that's okay because I knew I was gonna have to touch up the creamy along the window anyway. We did 2 coats around the window, but I think it needs 3. It's not quite opaque yet. Another detail that we could worry about, but I'm not gonna worry about today, since we're leaving the actual window white and the trim's blue, it kind of doesn't have a perfectly crisp line. Just going in with a little bit of caulk will straighten that out. We'll put some painter's tape so we keep it nice and straight. Speaking of caulk, they must have used non-paintable caulk here. And not only did they do that, but they went like up on the wall with it. It looks so bad. You can see the color that was behind it. And so it just looks dirty. It doesn't look precise. It doesn't take the paint. I don't know how to fix that. Let me know, because I do not want it to look that way. And then on top of the window trim, I had a bunch of nails in here where I had hung garland around the windows. I filled all the holes on the actual window trim when I painted it in the first place, but I missed the ones on the wall. So I think a good game plan is probably to start with the patching so that it has time to dry, then move on to this other side of the wall, and then paint the final touch-up of creamy over here. I'm not gonna be able to fix this stuff today, unfortunately, but I am just asking for advice on that. If anybody does know what we should do with that, that would be great. I've been staring at these details for weeks, some for even months. Now that I've done them, I see the impact that these small changes have made around the house, and it just makes me feel so accomplished. At the end of the day, your home should reflect you, and it should be a space that you want to spend time in, that you adore, more so than anything else. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!
Have you heard a little DIY? Tessa Jane on my watch like the time. Tessa Jane with the show.